Hello everyone and welcome to episode 30 of our Raspberry Pi series, and in today's episode we are going to be installing Dashy Dashboard on a Raspberry Pi. Dashy Dashboard is a Docker container that we can install through Portainer today using a stack, and you can use it to add all of your bookmarks to one interface. It has a nice icon, and if you want to connect to any of your local Docker containers, you can reference it from that dashboard, as well as any external links like bookmarks and things like that. I'm also going to show you how to configure it today so you can tweak it so you can have it looking exactly how you want it to look. So before we get started today, if you guys like what we do on this channel and you want to subscribe, please hit that subscribe button and you'll be notified of any new content that we upload. If you can also hit that like button as well, it just lets the YouTube algorithm know that our content is watched and it's appreciated by the general public, and it will display more to more people. So we appreciate that too. So to start things off today, I'm just going to go over the dashboard and show you a little bit of what you can achieve from it, show you some examples, and then after that we'll go straight on to configuring it and installing it on your Raspberry Pi. So this is Dashy Dashboard. This is a demo on the dashy.to website. The links don't actively work at the moment, but it kind of gives you an idea of what you can achieve from this dashboard. So what makes this dashboard ideal is that it's completely configurable. So you can configure it to exactly what you want. You can add custom CSS, you can add your own custom code through the config file, and you can add all your own external links as well as your internal Docker containers, and you can also add widgets. Now these widgets can be built-in ones that they've got here. You can see there's so many different ones. There's clock, weather, RSS feeds, joke of the day, and there's also custom ones that can work with your self-hosted applications. So you can have integrations with Pi-hole, you can add glances, you can add AdGuard. There's so much you can do with it. Now I'm not going to go into detail with you today. This is very advanced, but if you guys are interested, let me know in the comments and I'll do a separate video on how to add widgets. Because as I said, it's very much more in depth than just a basic configuration and setup, which is all I wanted to achieve today. So please let me know and I will do that in a future episode. So this is the container we're going to be using today from Lizzie93, and it's Dashy obviously, and it's had over 1 million pulls, which means it's well supported and updated, and it was updated 6 days ago, which is fantastic. If you come down in the documentation here, you'll see a little bit more about the project, who it is. It shows you a little demo of what you can do. You can change the themes, things like that. You can change the size of it. We'll go through all that when we go to configure it and tweak it to our liking. It gives you a little bit of what you can run. I've actually created a stack, which you guys can just copy and paste and change the file locations, which I'll also show you how to do. So that simplifies the process. And if you scroll down a little bit further, you can see it has a little bit more on theming. It shows you how you can use external icons. And I'm going to show you how to use favicons, things like that, and how you can find them file locations to add them to your config file. And there's a little bit more about the authentication, things like that, because you can actually lock down this dashboard as well so that only you can enter it. You can have to use your credentials. You can also back it up to the cloud, which is great, so that you can restore your config file from the cloud, which I'll also show you how to do. You can also, if you use it on other devices, for instance, you want to install it on a secondary device, you can also restore that back up to that device. I mean, why you want to do that, I don't know, but maybe you do. Maybe you want to move it to the cloud. So you can do that as well. So you can control it through a VPS that's in the cloud, and you can use that as an access point to do all your bookmarks. So yeah, that's just a little bit of an overview of what it does. It shows you the different ways that you can display it, display the dashboard. You can use it as a bookmarks tool. It's just so versatile. It's so configurable. It's just perfect. It's what you need to really display all them Docker containers you've worked hard to install and all them services that you currently use. So if you guys are ready, we're going to get straight on now and installing Dashy on our Raspberry Pi. So I have created a stack that you guys can copy and paste. You can find that on the link below in the description box, which should lead you to the blog post for today, where you'll find all the commands that we run, as well as this little snippet of code that you can put into the stack area, which I'll show you how to do on Portainer, and you can deploy it instantly with one click. So I will take you step by step through this. I've installed Dashy already, and I actively use it on my Raspberry Pi. So if you see it says Dashy 2 here under contain name, you can just remove the 2 and use Dashy if you wish to. So what we're going to do to start off with is we're going to log into SSH, and then P for port, and then our custom port, and then our username, which is user1 at 192 168.2.5, which is our Raspberry Pi's IP address. If you guys have not followed along with our course, then yours will differ from this. You may not have a custom port and you may use Pi as your username. So then once you've done that, press enter, and then we're going to put our password in. Okay, so now we are logged into our server. We are going to clear out that information there. Okay, so now that we've SSH'd in, we are going to create a folder and a file called conf.yaml. Okay, so this is going to have all of our configuration data in for Dashy, and we can actually edit that if we want to in that location. So we're going to mount this path we're going to create now, okay, to the internal folder so that the Docker container can read the config file and it can show on the dashboard what you have set up, and it can save your configuration. So we're going to navigate into our folder where we store all our drives, which is always under SRV if you've used Portainer. And then we're going to ls out our drives. These are all our drives. Yours may have a label if you followed on with our course. I've obviously moved these drives around from different devices, so I've got these long UUIDs that I have to put in. But if you use the tab, then you don't need to fully write it out. So if you go cd and then dev, okay, and if you press the tab button, it should complete the rest. And then mine is under this one here where it says 7. So if I press 7 and then tab again, it will complete that for me. So it's auto-complete, which is helpful. And I'm going to ls out again. And you can see I have a folder here called Docker Apps. So I'm going to go into Docker Apps using the cd command. See, tab it out again. Well, I'm just going to clear this out. Ls out again. Right, you can see my original config there under Dashy. So I'm going to create a new folder. You just call yours Dashy. Mine's going to be Dashy 2, as I explained earlier. So I'm going to go mkdir to make the directory. And we're going to call it Dashy 2. And in fact, I'm going to, just for layman's term, use a capital there, Dashy 2. And then I'm going to go into Dashy 2. Right, I'm going to clear this out. Right, there's nothing in there. So I'm going to go touch to create a config file. And we're going to call it conf.yaml. Okay, so you should see it there. And then what we're going to do is use a text editor, nano, and then we're going to use conf. So inside of this conf.yaml file, we're going to need to paste in a default configuration file for it to read on first boot. Obviously, once we start editing, it will automatically update this, and you only have to do this once. So if you want this code, it will be on our website. You can grab it from there. Or alternatively, you can get the demo content from the example configuration files for Dashy. I'll put a link in the description below. You can come down here and you can copy and paste the conf.yaml files here that you'll need. So this will just start you off with a baseline. There's many different examples that you can use. You can try a few of them out and see if there's any ones that you like, more advanced configurations. And remember, as you edit this, it will automatically update that config file. So what we're going to do is we're going to start on this one here, getting started. So we're just going to copy this raw here. Okay, and we're going to come back to our SSH session, and we're just going to paste that in. So this is what it looks like. Okay, and we're just going to save this by pressing Control X and then Y for saving. So yes, right to the conf.yaml file. Okay, so if we cat out that file now, conf, you'll see that the content's in there. So we're going to clear that out now. Okay, so now that's in there, we're going to get the location for it by doing pwd. This is to print the working directory. And we're going to need this to put into our stack. So if you guys copy and paste this into a text file, you can edit it before you use it in a live environment. So we want to come in here and leave this bit here where it says conf.yaml. And then before that, we're going to put our path. Okay, so that's our new location now for our YAML file. Okay, so the next part we need to edit here is the ports where it says 4002. You guys can use any port you want. This is outside. So if you guys are using 4002 on something else, you can change this to anything you want as long as it's within the acceptable range. And this one here is inside the container, which you shouldn't change. It has to be 80 so that it can work internally. You guys are going to need to know your UID and your GID. And you can find that by just coming in here to your SSH terminal and just pressing ID. And I'm using user 1. And it will tell you here, which it says here 1001 for the UID, and for the GID is a 100. So that's the group and the normal ID. You can also go ID and then the username. So if you wanted to know it for Pi, etc., it will tell you. Okay, so we're going to clear that out again. Right, coming back to our stack. So I know that these are right because I've used this before. And that's it. That's all you need to do to run and deploy this container. So we're going to copy that. And now we're going to go log into our Portainer. And once you guys are logged in, you can go to containers and then down to where it says stacks. And then we're going to add a stack. And then you can name this Dashy. I'm going to name mine Dashy 2. As I explained earlier, I've already run this. So you just call yours Dashy. And then you paste that in. And then just check that everything is correct, that you've got the right paths. And that there's no spaces. That's all fine. And then all you've got to do now is come down to the bottom here and click deploy the stack. Okay, so now that's completed. If you go to containers and you go down to where yours says Dashy, and I have to put all so you can display them all, and you'll see it says starting. So if you click on this little icon here, it will show you the logs, and you can see in real time. So you can see it's found the configuration file and it's valid. Make sure that it says that for you to know that it's working correctly. And we'll just give this a little while to sort of compile the config file. So what happens every time you save something in Dashy, it recompiles the config file. So it takes a little while for it to update. So you'll notice that as you go along. It just basically rebuilds it over and over again. And I'll show you how you can see that in the log file so you know when it's finished. So if you try to log into Dashy now just to double check what port I used, which was 4002. So if we go 192.168.2.5, and then it's 4002 is the port number. So you put your port number, and I'm using obviously that IP because that's the IP of my Raspberry Pi. So you need to make sure you've got that right as well. And you can see it's going to internalize on the first load. It won't do this every time. This is just literally because it's just, as I said, building that config file. So in the background, we're just going to keep watching this log and wait for this to tell us that it's finished, and you should see some more text underneath when it's complete. This may spring up an error as well, just ignore it. It's just literally because the configuration file hasn't finished building and compiling it. So we're just going to wait for this patiently. And here's that error that it springs up here. It says taken longer than expected, and then you should get like a little error saying at the end of it. Yeah, possible error, see? That's what will come up at the end. That's fine, just ignore it. Come back into Portainer and just wait for this to finish compiling. And there you are. So it says, to know when it's finished, it will say build complete, watching for changes. Now, if you go back to Dashy, you'll see your dashboard is now there. So you can add this dashboard to any of your devices just by going to your IP address and the port number of 4002 or whatever custom port you've used. So now that we've installed and deployed our dashboard, in the next section we're going to look at how we can configure it and tweak it to our exact requirements. So now we are ready to configure the dashboard. We're going to click on this little settings button here to the far right. And under here we have the option to select different themes. So there's many different themes in here that you can just change at a click of a button. So we've got Material Dark, Dashy Docs. Dashy Docs is quite nice. Colorful. Matrix. If you want to go really techie, you know, there's just loads to choose from in here. Cyberpunk's pretty cool if you like gaming. Yeah, so we're going to go with the default. In fact, we're going to go with Dashy Docs because I like the look of that. So that's how you change the theme. You can also use custom theme colors if you wanted to, which you can click under here. Just again, it's just click and select which ones you want. So I'm going to go with a white. Yeah, nice and clear. So yeah, you can do that for all sections as well as the background. So it's so customizable. You can do whatever you want with it. So we're going to go default and back to Dashy Docs, and that will reset it. So here you've got the different layouts. You've got in this style, which is auto, horizontal layouts, and you've also got this vertical layout here. Item sizes, you can change that to different styles, different sizes. And this one also shows a little bit of a description underneath if you add that to the link. Now, this is the important part here, is this config here, this config area. So we have this little spanner here that you can click on to update the configuration. So in here, you can view and export the config file that we created earlier, the conf.yaml file. This is the exact copy of it from here. And you can copy it to clipboard, and you can download that file and keep a local copy on your machine, which I recommend to do once you finish setting it up anyway. But you can also save it to the cloud, which is another great feature of this. It's completely free as well. It doesn't cost anything. If you want to edit the config, you can do it from here, and you can edit sections from here. So for instance, as you can see by default, in that default conf.yaml file that we created when we used that demo, that demo config file, it had this getting started section. So if you wanted to remove that, you can do that from in here. So you can just literally go to the side bit here and click remove, and that will remove that section there. So you don't need to have any understanding of YAML or how to write a YAML file. You can literally configure it all with a mouse through this interface here. So moving on, this is what I was saying earlier, the cloud and backup. From here, it says here, cloud backup and restore is an optional feature that enables you to upload your config to the internet and then restores it on any other device or instance of Dashy. So obviously, having this backup is great if you lose the container or your Raspberry Pi dies for any reason, you didn't have a backup, you can restore this from the cloud. So all data is fully end-to-end encryption with AES, which is great. So that means that even up on the server that it can't be read, it keeps your data secure and private. Using your passkey. For more information, see the docs. So you can just put a passkey in here. Make sure that you put it correctly, because you'll only get one opportunity. You don't get to confirm it. And then if you click backup, and that's it, done. So what you get is your ID. So you have a little backup ID here, which you should save to a Bitwarden password vault, or to a file that you have securely put somewhere out of the way. So what you would do, if you're on a new instance, you would use that ID now. You'd stick it in restore, and you put your password in, and then click restore. And then that's the config file that would be restored. And it's still waiting for changes, so it hasn't updated that. That's fine. Obviously, you would have to initiate the build so that it rebuilds the comp file, which we'll show you how to do in a little bit. So anyway, custom styles. You can add some custom CSS in this area here. You can also change the base theme, again, like you can from the main interface, and as well as the colors, which I've already shown you how to do through the other section. So we're going to come out of here now, and we're going to go to this little pencil now. So from here, this is where you add your sections. So in this tutorial, we're going to add our Docker containers. So I'm going to put Docker containers, and then you can select an icon that you want to use. I'm going to use the font awesome ones, and it's the version 4, which is the free icons that you can use. Okay, no, we don't want to use version 5 because that's paid for. And if you click on icons here, we can use any of these icons. Okay, so I'm going to search for app, and again, you can use any one that you want. Everyone's relevant, really. I like this rocket. I'm just going to use a rocket. Why not? So we're going to copy and paste that from there. And if we go to back to our dashboard again, and then we click, we've got to put in file, and then put that in. And if we scroll down here, and there's a few more settings here. Sort by, you can change the sort and order. So most used. So as you use it more and more, it learns a bit more about you, and it will put these into whatever order that it feels is necessary. Quite helpful. You can select the different amount of rows that you want. You can collapse it also, and you can also hide it for guests, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. So we can click save, and there you can see our font awesome icon has appeared. And then we're going to add our first Docker container to it. So the first container we're going to add is Portainer. Okay, so we know that that's on port 9000. So we're going to copy that location. And then we're going to click in here and put Portainer. And we're going to put in here Docker container management. And then the icon, which I'll show you in a minute, put service URL first. Okay, so we know where that is. And then what you can use under icon, okay, what I recommend you can use the Font Awesome ones if you want to, but they're quite limited. There's all sorts of different ones that you can select. If you come back to the documentation here, you'll see there's a section here on icons, and it says that you can use favicons, you can use icon packs from Font Awesome, simple icons, material icons, emojis. There's a few more you can use, home lab icons from here. There's also some more icons that you can use from this great GitHub post here. I'll put a link in the description below. And down here, you can see that there is several different icons, okay? So the easiest method is to use the favicons. Most websites have a favicon, okay? And the favicon is, if you look up here in the tab, you can see this little icon here in the far left corner. So what we need to do, if we go to Portainer's website, or whatever icon that you're trying to find, okay? So this is it here. Now you can see that it has the favicon up there. If you put a / and then favicon.ico, okay, just add that to the end. It should take you to the favicon. I mean, this one's huge, but it's an SVG, so that means it can scale up and down. So what we're going to do here is go back to our Dashy dashboard, and we're going to put that in the icon section here. So it's going to pick up that favicon, okay, the SVG favicon, and it's going to load that in to your dashboard. And now opening is just how you can open it in different ways. I'm going to put new tab because that's always how you want your dashboard to stay open. You can even pin that tab, and then you can have it open in new tabs, which is what we want. And then obviously, because this is a container, a local container, there's different fields that you can select. One of the ones that I really like out of these is to enable status check and then put true on that. So what this does, it will keep pinging that Docker container, and in this instance it is Portainer, and to make sure that it's still live, and it will give you a little indicator whether it's green or red. So this is great if one of your Docker containers goes down, you can see in real time that it's gone down, and you can deal with it from there. It's also great because if you host services online, that you can also monitor them in real time while you work from your dashboard, which is fantastic for these kind of websites that you want to monitor. So if you click save, and there you see, we have a green indicator here to let us know that that Docker container is live and it's working. If you hover over it, it'll tell you server responded with a 200, okay. There was a few times where this may not work right if it's got like a login page, things like that. There is ways around that, which I can show you as well when we start adding more containers. So all this does is just adds a link, okay? So you're not doing anything else other than just adding a direct link to that container. It just gives you a one-stop shop to click on all of your Docker containers from one place. I mean, some people say, why don't you just use bookmarks? Sometimes you've got to go into different folder structures to try and find certain bookmarks. This is just literally all visual. It's click and go, and that's what you want. So we're going to add our next Docker container, and this one's going to be our Open Media Vault .5 port 443. Okay, so if you get this ever coming up, just click Advanced and then accept the risk and continue. Okay, it's just because it's a self-certified certificate on there, so you may get an SSL error. You should know about this if you have watched our previous episodes. So what we're going to do now is going to take this container here. Now, because we've got that error come up, that SSL error, sometimes it could not show properly when it's trying to perform a check. So I'll show you what I mean. This is open. In fact, I'll just put Open Media Vault OMV, and under description, Open Media Vault dashboard. And then we'll go to the service URL, we'll paste that in, okay? And then open method, new tab, and then we're going to get that icon again. So we're just going to go to the Open Media Vault website. And there it is there. And then we're going to go /favicon.ico. So we're going to go back to our dashboard, and under icon, paste that in. Okay, so under here, if I click save now, all right, hang on, just edit one more time, and we'll click the enable status check again and click true and click save. Now you'll see it's got a yellow icon now, okay, request timeout. Now that's because of the SSL certificate being a self-certified certificate. So basically what it's saying is like it can't check that website because this is the SSL certificate notification is in the way. So basically it gets in the way. So what you need to bypass that. So if we click on that again and come down to here, we can click on status check disable SSL, okay, and then click true, and then click save again. Okay, it's great for the minute, request timeout, because we need to write this to the config file. So we're going to stop right now and we're going to write these changes that we've done so far. And I'm going to show you how that works. So right down the bottom right hand corner, it's got save to disk. This will save this configuration to your config.yaml file. So we're going to click save to disk. Now it says config file written to disk successfully. Well, it hasn't actually completed. If you come to Portainer, you can see that it says here, wait compiling. Now you need to wait for this to complete, for it to say done, build complete, waiting for changes. Once it's done that means it is fully complete, and then your dashboard's then ready to be used. So we'll just wait now for this to finish. This can take a few minutes to do, it's a bit annoying, but again, it's got to compile that config file somehow, and this is a good way of doing it. So as you can see now, that's now completing. There you are, it's rewritten the file. So it took about 2 minutes to compile the conf.yaml file. So now that's complete. If we go back to our dashboard and refresh, you'll now see that it has a green icon for the OMV. So it's overridden that SSL issue that we had. And obviously if that goes down, it will show you. Now these are in the same location. So if OMV goes down, then obviously Portainer and all your other dashboards will most likely go down. Obviously, it depends if you have a configuration error or not, but majority of the time they will. But anyway, it's still useful to have. So I'm going to add one more Docker container, and I'm going to add radar. And there it is there on port 7878. I'm going to copy that URL, and I'm going to go back to my Dashy dashboard. And then if you click that pencil mark again, it will bring up this drag and drop interface again. So it's not drag and drop. You can't drag and drop elements around, but it brings up this point and click interface. So we can just add that. So we're going to add radar. And this is for movie downloader. And then icon, we'll leave that for the minute. Service URL. And opening method is new tab. Now for this icon, I'm going to use our, these lovely icons here. Now I found the easiest way to use these icons here is to look through for radar. So it's in alphabetical order. So we know it starts with A, working its way down. And we're going to find the R section. And there's radar there. So down the bottom here, I don't know if you can see, but you can see some URLs changing as you hover over them. Right down the bottom far left of the screen. It might be too small for you to see, but it's giving you the URL. So what I would suggest to do, okay, so if you just hover over that icon you want to use, right click, and then go to copy image link, okay? And as you can see, if I paste it in here, it will take us straight to that link, all right? So then you should be able to use that now. So if we go back to our dashboard and then paste that in as the icon, we're now using that custom icon from GitHub. And then we're going to go again, enable status check, and we're going to click true, okay, and then save. And there you are. Now the icon hasn't appeared, so we need to write to our, there it is. It's just appeared. It just took a little while for it to obviously load externally. This OMV icon is very small. It's it kind of looks a bit mismatched, so I think we're going to change that one too. We'll go back into our GitHub, and again, it's all in alphabetical order. We're going to look for Open Media Vault. And you just got to manually look through with your eyes. It's a bit annoying, but you can download this pack as well if you want to. And there's Open Media Vault there. It takes, a couple of seconds to find. Copy image link. And then if we open up a new tab, just double check that it's working. It's working fine. Go back to our dashboard. And we're going to change this icon. And remember, the icon probably won't change until we recompile it again. No, it did. Change straight away. Perfect. So that looks, you can see how lovely and neat that looks. It really does look nice. So now we've done that, I'm going to show you how to add an external link. So if you had a website that you wanted to check was up. So we're going to just do Google. So we're just going to do google.com and Google search engine. So now we put a description in. Then we're going to go down to service URL. And then obviously we're going to go google.com. Agree to sign your life away. And then click copy. And then go to Dashy and paste that in. And then I'm going to take a guess that it's /favicon.ico. Open a method in new tab. Enable status check. So obviously, again, it's going to do the same thing to let you know that your website is up and it's working. If it goes down, you won't get a notification, but you'll see it in real time in your dashboard. Click save, and there you are. So now what we're going to do is going to write this config one last time. Save to disk, and then go back to our Portainer, and you can see that it's compiling. Okay, so that's now completed. In this case that I just did now, it actually compiled twice, which is kind of, I've not seen that before. If it does that, then just be patient and wait for it to say done, build complete, and waiting for changes. Okay, so now our dashboard is ready to be refreshed. And it now works. So what you can do now is you can just close the config here by hiding it. Okay, and now you've got a dashboard. So when you're in the dashboard, say you wanted to find something quickly, if you just click inside it, you can put Google like that. So in the search box, Google here, Geo, and it will find the exact link, as well as Portainer, for instance, so on, so on. So there's a little bit more to know about the editor mode. So we click back on this pencil to go back into the editor mode. And if you come down here to the bottom left, you'll see there's a couple of buttons here. And this left side here is to do a little bit more of the editing of the config file. You can edit the page info and edit pages, etc. And on the right hand side is all about how you're saving it and how you can export configs and save them. So it's all about saving. So this side is all about editing. So we're going to go through it. Click on edit page info. Okay, so this is all about this section up here where it says Dashy. So you can change the name of that. So I'm going to call mine my dashboard. Why not? And down here, I'm going to go welcome to my world. Why not? Down here, so you can see some links. So you can change these links. So documentation and the GitHub is for up here on the top right hand side here. So you can change these to whatever you want. So let's say we wanted it to be, I don't know, Facebook. You can change that to Facebook and then obviously change the URL as well. And you can have it open in a new tab, same tab, parent tab, new tab is what I would suggest, obviously because we're using it for that reason. And let's say we didn't want the documentation, so you can just press this icon here and that will get rid of it. And then the footer text, content display within the global page footer. So we're just going to put this is some footer text, just so you can see where it appears, and an app logo, path to an optional image asset to be displayed in the header. So we're going to go for HTTPS, and I'm going to go addicted to tech.net/favicon.ico. So let's just check that favicon actually exists, which I'm sure it does. There it is. And then we're going to click save. So obviously you guys can put whatever you want in there. That's what I'm going to put. So what we're going to do is quickly, now we've edited the page info, you can see it there. It says my dashboard, welcome to my world, and this little icon here is now my Addicted to Tech logo. Now you can see before we added the Facebook icon there, which will open in a new tab. And we also had down the bottom here, we put this is some footer text. That's replaced the copyright notice that was at the bottom, which had the developers' details on there. So that's quite a nice feature too. Okay, so the next section we're going to look at is this edit app config. Now in here, it says proceed with caution. The following options are for advanced app configuration. If you are unsure about any of the fields, please reference the documentation to avoid unintended consequences. So obviously be very careful in here. You don't want to mess up your configuration file. In fact, if you are attempting to make any changes in here, just do a quick backup of your config file by exporting it on the safe side here on the bottom right hand corner, and just keep a copy of your config locally so that you can restore it if anything goes wrong. Alternatively, you can also use the cloud backup. So on each link, you don't need to set it. You can set it as a global condition so that it will do it on all links. So in here, you can set which search engine you'd like to use, which is helpful. Enable Font Awesome. Of course, we want to use that because a lot of our menus that we've just used, the Rocket, etc., are from Font Awesome that uses version 4. And obviously, if you use version 5, you can put your API key in here and you can use the Pro features. Helpful as well. There's a lot better icons on the Font Awesome 5. I definitely recommend that for you, especially if you're into web design or anything like that. Additional CSS themes. You can add more custom themes, so you can use your own ones, develop them. So this is just so configurable. You know, you can just add so much to it. You can hide the heading if you didn't want it. You can hide the nav bar. You can hide the search bar. Don't want any of them features, don't need to use them. This here is enable guest mode, which we recommend to use if you're using this on a local area network which has many different devices on it. If you want to keep all your stuff secure and private, especially you want to enable this if you're using it in a VPS, like a virtual private server on the internet. You will want to lock this down because other people will have access to all of your links, everything that you've got stored on your dashboard. So you can put enable guest mode, click yes, and then you can add a user. So I'm just going to put user 1. Hash pass, so a SHA256 hash password for that user. So what you can do is go up here, SHA256 hash generator. So we're going to put in our password here. So this is my password. Obviously make this as complex as you want to. Copy that to clipboard. And you can cross out that now, you don't need it. Go back to Dashy and you can put in your new hash password. Okay, so you've got to remember what your password was. So this is my password, was the password. Enable cloak. So privileges, user type denoting privilege level, either admin or normal. So I want this username here, user1, to be an admin, which means it has full rights to do whatever, full control over the whole interface. You can also add a normal user. So if you want family members to use this, then they can use their login information. A lot more in-depth details there, which we're not going to go into. Okay, so you can set to true to loading screen will be showing. So if you want to use the loading screen, that was that loading screen we've seen before where it's a Dashy, configuring, internalizing, etc. So we don't want that on. We just want to go straight to our dashboard. Prevent saving config to local storage. We don't want to change any of that. Okay, so literally that's us done. So we're going to click save and we're going to write that to disk. So save to disk. If you click on this little open settings menu now and you click on login, so we're going to click here and then we can use that username that we put before and password. So user1, and this is my password, is what I set. And then you can remember. So we're going to say a long time, okay? And then we're going to click on login. There you are. So we're now logged in as the administrator. So just to explain a little bit further, if you click on this little settings icon here and click edit, under this edit section, if you come down to the bottom and click hide for guests, and you tick that now. So now that you've created that username on your dashboard, anyone who is not logged in will not be able to see this section. So any of your links or widgets that are contained within that section will not be able to be seen by anyone who's unauthorized. So as you can see, Dashy Dashboard is a very powerful application. It can be used to configure a dashboard for all of your Docker containers, as well as any external links, and it can be tailored to your exact requirements of what you need. Pretty good for an open source project. If you were looking to access this dashboard from outside of your network, you could either install it to a VPS, which is based in the cloud, using DigitalOcean or Linode, etc. Or you can use your WireGuard application. If you follow our Raspberry Pi series, you'll find that the WireGuard episode, it will teach you how to access WireGuard from outside of your network to tunnel inside your network by using a VPN connection. And by doing that, you can then be inside your network and access this dashboard. It sounds a bit more complicated than what it is. If you look back over them episodes, you will find out exactly how to do that. So if you guys got benefit out of today's episode, if you can hit that subscribe button to be notified of any of our new uploads, that would be greatly appreciated. As well as hit that like button if you liked it, so that tell the YouTube algorithm that you like our content and that it will show our content to more people. In the description box below, you will find a link to our blog post for today's episode. You can find all the code that we've used today that you can copy and paste into your own setups. There is also affiliate links for hardware that we recommend that we've used and customized, and we can tell you that it works very well. If you use them links, we do get a little bit of a commission from them, and we do appreciate if you use them. We'd like to give a big shout out to all of those who have donated to our channel, as well as become our Patriots. We'd like to thank you very much for your support. If you guys would like to support our channel, please look at them two options so that we can continue to make content for you. So I'd just like to take this opportunity now to say thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.